Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the PCS Summer here for week 2, day 2. My name's Hysterics. I'm joined by Mr. Clement Chu. Remember, sponsored by CDBC Bank is the PCS for this split and for the last one as well. Before the match starts, thank you to Right Games, Carry Live, and Garena for the full league operation. Mr. Chu, welcome back. Last game was a bit disappointing, let's be real, because, Deep Cross Gaming, yes, looked very convincing, but CDBC Flying Oyster kind of fell apart in the mid-game, but this one's going to be a very different feel because it's Impunity versus Sem9. Sem9 still without a win in the PCS for this year, let alone this split. And Impunity are a team that look improved, but also having issues of their own.
Yeah, this is the battle of the LST here. We have our Singaporean representatives on one side and Malaysia on the other one. And I felt like both of these rosters did have upgrades. And I will say that Sem9 actually had a pretty close game versus PSG. It might not look so by the end of it, but the mid game was relatively close. And I feel like Sem9 actually has a very solid grasp on how they want to execute. We'll talk about them a little bit later. But for now, Impunity, I think the most important members are actually still going to be in your top lane. ICU and Alex, damage carriers of the team. They like to play the two-man game. But for today, also, we have to notice that Husky's going to be starting again in mid lane, and then LZ is going to start over Annex, who used to be known as Ann.
Yeah, so the experience in the bottom lane changed up a little bit. Remember, Clement, when we opened this team, it was LZ and Nature in the bottom lane, and we were pretty surprised by them. It was actually a pretty good 2v2, and we've seen these different variations of Impunity over the week, and I think what you said about Husky was right on the money, where we saw him on the Yone game, and Husky just looked rusty, to say the least.
Yeah, Husky has been known to just play bruisers. He used to play Set and Renekton almost completely when on Beyond Gaming. So we'll see if he can bring something new to the table. On the other hand, for Sem9, we also have some very interesting champion pools coming in here. So far, No Name must be some sort of a Darius god, because Darius is 100% banned against No Name. I'm not sure what reason it is. Maybe he's just like a solo queue star in this champion. I don't even really think Darius is that insane and competitive. It's very strong in solo queue without a doubt, but in competitive, it's just hasn't been seen all that much.
Kind of crazy that the respect is that high. So yeah, it must be, right, because if we just look at No Name as a character, right now he seems to be the core damage source of Sem9. I think when you and I have casted this team and we've been critical, we've talked a lot about Lazar, a lot about Arashi, what he can do. This time around, even looking at the junglers head-to-head, I don't know, Clement, where do you want to start in this one? Because it's experience versus a real up-and-comer in Arashi, but when I say up-and-comer, I mean from the bottom up.
So I feel like Arashi, he is probably one of the most creative junglers we have in the PCS. Yeah. I think looking at his stats doesn't do him justice, because a lot of the times he has to go for the unexpected to make what are essentially very weak lanes work. He has to do a lot of patch-up work. And last time they played, they ran with the Wukong and Yuumi strategy, which I think was super fun to watch. You have that sort of invisible final chapter coming out of nowhere across the team, and I think it was a delight to watch them execute. So overall, Sem9, of course, Darius banned out. They have a very clear identity. They're going all in on early game, strong laning champions. They want to snowball with the mid game team fight composition and end the game before the late game even hits.
Right. Well, I'm just hoping here we get a competitive match, because Sem9 needs something. I'm, going to be a little biased towards Sem9, obviously. This team needs to get some motivation, but the problem is they've just left Zeri open. 12-11, doesn't matter, 12-12 even. Zeri is still just so good. And Impunity get it as a first pick for LZ, who we were saying before wasn't really doing that bad, as the response is going to be the Yuumi, Clement, so maybe we do go along that path of a jungler that can roam and work with it. Of course, we can't use Bel'Veth yet.
I wonder if the Yuumi is kind of like a pick for the coach. Like the coach is usually there behind the team and sort of directing everyone. And if you're a Yumi, you get a lot more chances to just go back to that coaching role. You have your notebook open, and yeah, you just AFK for most of the game. So I think it's a pretty interesting and fitting one for Hashing to pick up here. In the meantime, Volibear is still a strong pick. I think whenever you're going up against a Zeri, you're looking for two options. One is burst damage, the other is hard crowd control. So at least 7-9 look like they have a plan by leaving this one.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a different plan altogether, right? Because Volibear prioritized. Things like Lee Sin, Xin Zhao, Jarvan's still open. Like, we've only had one jungle ban. The Viego, Clement, has been ignored completely. I don't think we talk about many games where Viego's not even picked at all. And I'm actually looking at PCS hoverability, priority. 18 out of 20 games before today it was picked. There's going to be another one where it's completely glassed over.
Okay, kind of interesting here. We see 7-9 going for more poke opportunity. This is actually a super strong burst composition if Volibear does end up in the bot lane. So maybe this is what they're going for. You jump in, disable the tower, you have burst from the Ezreal, and you have hard crowd control from the Uni and the Volibear again. So I think that 7-9 could have a strategy in hand here. It's also quite strong of a roaming composition as well.
Yeah, a lot of mobility added with Yumi in the mix as well. Gives me that Jackie Love and Dwarf Jackie Love and Yu Yan Jia vibes earlier on in their top esports duo. I think for 7-9 now, Clement, looking at what can be going into the solo lanes, and even for both teams, right? We don't have a mid or top for either of these rosters. And when I look at Lazar, I think, well, this guy has a very limited champion pool. We've been critical on it. Ahri is one that we say, hey, Lazar can pilot that. Outside of that, Orianna LeBlanc so far, he doesn't go very far.
Yeah, I actually don't mind the LeBlanc in this type of composition. I'm just not sure that they want to pick it because obviously you still have something like Lissandra, which I think almost anyone can pilot. A very easy answer here. They're going to go with the Orianna. So I'm very curious on what this bruiser is because they're basically building a comp for a bruiser, but we haven't seen what the bruiser is just yet. You put the ball and you put the cat on the bruiser and you just let him go crazy. I think Jax is probably the best one here. Something like the Aatrox could work too if it's left available. It really does depend on what ICU selects here. And ICU has been a super interesting guy in that he does play a lot of these fighters himself, so he should know the matchup tables quite well.
Yeah, and if he goes blind into the Camille, maybe we get something that you mentioned there in terms of the Jax, but no, we get the Sejuani, so tank top here. A lot of good frontline, Clement, a lot of good engage from Impunity, and with that ball coming in, you better have a very good response from 7-9.
Ooh, Nasus is very spicy here.
Is it actually? Does it work, Clement?
It's
Does
spicy.
It work?
I'm saying it's spicy. I'm not sure if it works or not.
Dude, wherever I go, it follows me. I got Cube's debut in almost 10 years in the top lane, and I get it again from No Name. So 7-9, this better be the game where they win, because I'm so glad to once again be casting another Nasus top.
Oh boy, this is going to be fun. 7-9 built this comp around the Nasus. He's running Ghost. He's going to have Orianna Ball to speed him up. He's going to have Zoomies and then heals. So this is basically an unkillable Nasus in some aspects. However, I do think that Impunity actually just have the perfect answer in the Trundle. Yeah. Like, the Subjugate is such a killjoy against the Nasus. All he has to do is wait until the Nasus actually pops his Dominus. Not the Dominus, I'm sorry. What is it? Curator of the Sands?
Fury of the Sands?
Fury of the Sands. I haven't seen that champion in so long. Fury of the Sands. If he pops, he just waits for him to pop that, and then he puts the Subjugate on him. It will ruin Nasus' day.
True. It's something that I'd be more excited for, but Clement, I casted this recently. And it was over on RA. And now yes, it did. It was into a Kayle though. That's the difference. It was into a lane where Nasus couldn't negate, like there was a true purpose to it. The W slows down the attack speed, and like Nasus in extended trades is okay, could survive range Kayle. On the Sejuani, I wonder, because you're right, Trundle not only doing well into it, Clement, I'm worried about the 2v2 in the top lane. That is an easy permafrost situation. Health against Nasus as well. Gonna feel good, so this is a big ask, and I really hope that Sem9 for their first win of the year can pull it across the line with this pick, because as you said, they put everything into it. Sem9 are 0-22 at the moment, Clement. For the year, not a single win. It's a sad story, but hopefully it turns around from now.
I trusted No Name. We've been talking about this for so long, you know, just taking a look at the runes here. He does have the Conqueror, so much more of a team fight focused one there. And he also has the scaling. They're available with the Transcendence. I trusted No Name. We've been saying this. Sem9 needs to find a lane that they can consistently win through. And No Name is going to be Citizen Kane here. He's going to be an outstanding individual with a giant soul-sucking cane that is going to smash Sem9 into victory. I trust. I feel it in my fingertips. I'm glad. I'm so nervous right now. You know, I'm sweaty in my palms. I feel it coming. This is it. Where were you when Sem9 got their first win, when they came their way to victory?
Well, that's some optimism. Let's just see how it plays out, because we have an Ignite in the top lane here from ICU with Grasp as well. Conqueror taken by No Name. Kind of an interesting mix here, Clement, because a lot of the time it is Grasp or it's Unsealed Spellbook, depending. A very different angle.
You know why he's doing this? Because he understands with so many buffs on him, he's actually going to be able to stack this one. So he wants that extra healing to last through the fight right here. And we'll see if he actually manages to get it going. I think Nace is early on still an incredibly rough lane. You don't really expect much to happen right here. So the start of the game, I feel like, is how much Impunity can impede the progress of Arashi, just with their strong lanes. I feel like their lanes should have sizable advantages across the board right here. So I really expect a lot of invading from Alex, and there he goes.
Good timing, Clement. Already straight into the Raptor camp, but instead of the bait, it's going to be a gank. Pillar can just force out a flash abscond of Duck. Lazar has to burn it as Alex. A little bit early on the trigger there, Clement, and Lazar probably happy trading it, but at the very least, they do have a mid lane flash down.
Yeah, Alex did have to flash in and get that slow on for Orianna, or else Lazar would have been able to walk away from that one. Still a pretty good play on his part. You know, Trundle, I think for most times, trading the flash away isn't that big of a deal for him. And we'll see if he can start the invade. Like, Silas should have a sizable lead at this point.
Sorry, just so ridiculous seeing LT damage there. It's a level 2 Zeri. That W goes over the wall, and Shiadudu is at 1/8 of his HP, so... a reason we do not like seeing Zeri, and a reason that Zeri is just so strong on these last couple of patches.
I think they're going to have to change their direction again. I just don't like the identity of an AD carry. It's like, oh, I deal a lot of damage with a Lux Laser over a wall on targets I can't even see most of the time. That feels so gimmicky to be a champion strength. So I do want to see them actually just bump down Burst Fire's range a little bit, keep her mobility there. You know, you can give her a little bit more damage, but just you know, bump Burst Fire down, and I think things are a lot more fair.
Have you thought about going on the champion design team after your casting career?
You know, look, I would really love to do it in like a vacuum. I think the champion design team actually does amazing work, but the community is really hard to deal with. Like, I think I'm somewhat on the spectrum, so maybe I can survive all the criticism, but still, man, it still feels like such a tough job.
Oh, that's very revealing. Thank you, Club and Chew. Yeah, okay.
No problem.
That's true. The community would be rough to deal with, but it's worth me asking because I feel like you're suited for it. So we'll see what happens to you one day. You could be like the chat.
No, I would just buff Fled.
Yeah,
out
you
the stratosphere.
Hey, I mean, I was going to say he's in the right position, but I don't feel like there's any mythic that really
he's in a terrible position.
Yeah. Doomby even played him earlier this split, I think it was. But it's just not great. I'll bring our attention back to the top side. Arashi decides now it's time to pay Snoop a visit. But a good warning here from ICU. Can't get in. Arashi backs away, and it means Alex and Winnie now have an opportunity to hit wherever they want. Clement, they burnt the flash of this earlier.
Yeah, and they're holding the wave here. Lazar, I feel like he senses this one. You know, the support has been gone for just a little too long, so just as I say that, he walks out.
Good flash. Stretch line comes in, and with no summoner of his own, Lazar is dead. First blood to Alex, and that's what you call worth for the earlier summoner trait.
Yeah, it definitely felt like Lazar had some inkling of that. And this is such a good move against a champion like Yuumi. You know, there's no kill threat in this lane whatsoever, and you can just kind of farm away with your burst fire. So and this is kind of the classical answer to very weak early Ezreal versus Enchanter lanes, is you just roam your support across the map.
Well, with that first blood as well, we already talked about jungle being able to invade, and for Alex, it sets up perfectly. Clement, he's behind CS with the gank, but at the very least, Lazar being in a rough position, with Husky getting close to 6-2. We didn't talk about what Husky can do this game, and like taking Arashi's ult, Lazar's ulti. I don't think there's anything there that he really wouldn't take, maybe apart from Shia Dudu's ult. But everything there is perfect for a Sylas running up against a composition that, as you said, wants to ball and maybe play around this Nasus.
Yeah, I feel like the Orianna ult is always the one I gravitate towards. It has great AP ratios, and you just start with the Orianna ball on top of yourself. So you are a delivery system, you're the jury, judge, and executioner all by yourself. So it's really nice to play when you're Sylas versus Orianna. Kind of your classical answer right here. I just feel a little bit unfortunate for 7-9, because I feel like they have such a fun competition. But at the same time, Impunity just randomly picked up the correct answers across the board at 2. Like, they got the Sylas blind, and they got the Trundle too. It's just like, well, it's kind of unlucky.
Yeah, and then it's like, well, we've got to build into it anyway. We committed. So, with no extra choice, I mean, right now, Impunity are using some of that early advantage to get in for an invade in the red buff. But Arashi coming in, seeing the frozen domain, and Alex, as he gets spotted out, I mean, Arashi going to be able to take this red buff away. Sky Splitter comes down, and it's very early for Axon to be getting on his jungler, but hey, at level 4, Clement, there he is.
Yeah, both of these supports are not in lane. Both of the AD carries can farm up with skill shots at long range, so very comfortable just letting that one happen. Husky knows that the jungler and the support is still prowling around here, so he's not going to go in on this one. And as a Yuumi, you do have an extra summoner when it does come to these roams here. I think they're just going to start the Herald onto this one, and it doesn't look like Impunity have the vision control defense.
So where do you put this, Clement? Because if Sem9 are getting this for free, surely we should be talking about top lane again, but then again, we also know Nasus likes to stay in lane as ICU wants to battle him out. The Ghost is still available. Now, I was wrong. Impunity do want to contest. The Stormbringer's stolen him from the Dredge line. They're on the Nasus. Oh no! No Name dead at the start, but a 3-man Orianna Shockwave from Lazar turns it back around as Winnie's the next target, but Arashi having to slide up, can't heal past the damage. Alex survives with Lazar chasing through, and Alex thinking about going back in.
Zeri gets it!
Is now here as well, but ICU helps out, and now Alex is back on in. Axon helping out, but he can't remount. The pillar to zone off the flash away. It's Electro Search Sign with LZ sniping him down. The flash forward, the burst fire. And Impunity just bringing experience again to trump over Sem9.
I've got 3 words for you, and maybe it's 2. I don't care, but it's Ultra Shock Laser. That ability is just mind-blowing. LZ steals the Herald and then gets an over-the-wall snipe onto Sheduru to turn around a 5v4. This was so good for Sem9. I think they had the right idea going into the engage here. Everyone was in position just a little bit faster, but Impunity outplay. They get the burst before the Fury of the Sands even has an impact, and Alex just is able to chomp down on the side without anyone noticing him here. LZ steals it with the W and chases it down. This was a correct setup for Sem9, but massive outplay for Impunity.
I didn't see it. I'm looking at the top side of the fight. And LZ, this is the rookie that came in. His debut in the PCS. I was already impressed when he was playing alongside Nature. And especially in a roster, Clement, that has Arn in it, who has, we talked about Apex, everyone else. This guy stepping up huge. It's here he is again. The Ultra Shock Laser does so much damage. And LZ is the reason why we do not give over Zeri. 3-0, and Sem9 looking like they always do, Clement. Completely do.
Yeah, it's so hard to play against this.
Okay.
And I just don't see No Name being able to chase it down.
Well, he does have the damage for it, though. He does have the damage for it, but he doesn't want to stick under turret with the slow. So I'm willing to say that's the one good thing we've seen. And to be fair, Clement, in that last fight, Sem9 did look competitive. Like, it was a very interesting fight, but man, LZ coming in so clutch, and me missing that Herald steal. He just pulled out the most beautiful W I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was very well done. You know, he was going in a different angle over the wall. He pops the W mid jump and gets a pixel perfect snipe onto it. That has to be such a morale killer as well. And in the meantime, they also popped the Herald into the top side just to make sure they could deny No Name a safe farming haven as early as possible. Now, that's only down to 1 stack. So if they just spot Arashi outside of vision, they could easily take down that top.
Yeah, well, we come back to a point in the game where, you know, I mentioned the goal before, 4K. Clement, at this point, now I'm going to really ask you about how Sem9, wow, not intentional, how Sem9 plays this game through that unit we talked about, through that top side, because I think it's relevant considering that No Name has been able to play the game and stack up. But you know, Sem9 are still so far behind.
You remember that tingling sensation I was talking about? The sweaty palms?
Yeah, I remember.
I don't feel it anymore.
Oh, no.
I really don't. I feel like the magic is gone. I just don't see it. Like, Zeri is unkillable at this point. That's the problem. You need the Ignite. You need the... she has so much sustain at this point. No Name doesn't have a place to farm.
Why are they TPing to that turret? I don't know. They might have a numbers advantage till Winnie comes in. Dredgeline knocks down No Name. Has been rendered useless. And this ain't the Nasus I saw from Cube. A different story. The chapter stolen. And action is stuck in place. A 2-man shockwave means nothing when the Dredgelines keep connecting. This is team diff, and Sem9 can't do anything about it.
Yeah, very optimistic teleport being used right there. Lazar unable to join the fight in the end. In the bot lane, Sheduru has no hope against LZ, who's this fed. We'll watch that play again. Honestly, like, all the members here were spotted out. It was a very easy just tower takedown. Impunity even had the demolish for ICU at that point, so they deny the TP. They instantly kill the Nasus before he's able to sustain up. And, you know, Lazar does come in, but unfortunately for the coach Ashing here, his AFK days continue as just can't find anyone to anchor on.
He can't. He just wanted to, you know, sit by the jungler, talk about pathing, focus on where they go next. But how can you coach as a support when as a Yuumi, you know, you can't really sit there, and you're right, Clement, you can't AFK. Kind of rough here. Now, look, we had so much hope that this was the draft that Sem9 could do it on, but in 14 minutes, it's a 7k gold lead. They have no control of their topside jungle, limited wards available. 4 out of 5 members of Impunity have a bounty. And, you know, the Nasus, Clement, still without his first item. So, at least we know that we're going to get to our last game quicker tonight.
Hey, for Sem9, we got late game. Trust. You gotta trust in the Kane, bro.
In 30 minutes. Okay.
It might not look good right now, but trust me, once those stacks start going, it's gonna be a different story. Trust. Yeah. I'm trying to cope with it as hard as possible. You know, I got my oxygen mask on. I'm trying to pump as much gas as possible into my lungs. We'll see, I guess. We'll see.
It's a lot of copium that's trying to go into your lungs right now, dude. A lot of hopium, a mixture of the two, and I feel like we overdosed a while ago. And every single game now, it's just like, oh, that residual feeling needs to come back. But Impunity, despite being 1-3 and despite being kind of a bit of a disappointment when we said they're a dark horse, you know, do get themselves a win that looks quite confident and quite comfortable. I think you and I went through them with Dewish team and got our hopes up, but losing to Frank, losing to DCG, even to CFO, has shown the difference between them and you know, our top 5. So this will be a nice win to get Impunity back on track.
Yeah, I feel like for Impunity, their goal is definitely to aim for, I would say, maybe the 6th and 5th place. And you can tell that...
Okay, well, a good start. At the very least, Arashi does get the lockout. And yeah, Winnie went in rather deep there. So a win for Sem9. However, the Herald's still there. It's going to get a charge. No Name's coming in. He wants some stacks. But this is going to be a long chase. There's Electroshock Laser just says no.
For those of you that don't know, that ability can now crit damage.
Yeah. They changed in 12-12.
Okay. I think it does help a little bit.
I'm in 12-12 in LPL, and I can tell you now that they changed the AD ratio, and they also put her ult move speed down per stack. So W has like a higher base, but a lower AD ratio, lower AP ratio, and its critical strike damage also went down. The base went higher, but the AD percentage got much lower. So you'll be happy to know that it does feel a bit weaker on 12-12. I hope that pleases you. Yeah, but it's still, she's still good. She's still first pick or bad. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like when you look at AD champion design, you typically have a trifecta where there's 3 different parameters, and those are range, damage, and mobility.
Yeah.
And Zeri, for some reason, just like excels at pretty much everything. Like she actually has pretty long range. The burst fire is 800. I think it's 850. And then she's highly mobile. That's like the basics of her kit. And
burst.
Yeah, she also does quite a bit of damage. She even used to have utility. So there you go. Like I just think they needed probably tone down the range of this champion to make it feel a bit better, feel more.
So I say you need to be a designer, Clement. How can you make change from the outside? If you want to really do something about it, you're gonna go on the inside. You got to do the Jat, and as I'm sure he probably, I don't know, he decided to leave. Maybe it was the community. He's like, I'm not dealing with this. I'm going back to casting. So,
yeah. You know, the first thing I would do is I would make the Kled 4th hit every hit. Like there we go.
Yeah.
The game would be much better.
What else? Charge on a 60-second cooldown.
It's actually pretty low already. The problem in late game is you always charge into a tank. It's too easy to counterplay. So, yeah, that one I think I'll give it a pass. That's
one redirect, Clement. Maybe you get one right click as a redirect. There's good stun under turret. Hang on, ICU has his ulti and he has ignite. Throw it out, son. Of course he does with Fury. The Sands coming through. The turnaround from No Name also there. He has his own ghost, and with 447 stacks, you can see that No Name is getting there, Mr. Chu. But while the rest of the map is burning, that's the problem. Winnie going in for the engage, turrets down, the depth charge gets a double knock-up as a Shockwave, a 2-man this time around. LZ is the one that tanks up, but he still has his Electroshock Laser and throws that out. The ulti available too. So we do see Sem9 able to weather the storm, however much, but Clement, it's 19 minutes in the game. We still need a lot more weathering than that.
And No Name up 50 CS though, so that's something to look forward to.
Let's go.
Yeah, like you mentioned, those stacks really start to hurt. You can see maybe you can start the solo ICU. I know that's just the start. It's a very low bar. ICU is playing just a tank, but that's a beginning. And I also saw Winnie, Ashing, excuse me, get a very good ult. 4-man ult down right there. Unfortunately, Shitudu still not able to pump out the damage to get any kills. So I think we're seeing some signs of life, but I'm still not sure how this Nasus gets over Trundle. It's a no-flash Nasus, so you can just pillar him, and he has to walk around the pillar. I mean, sure, he can pop Ghost and get slow resist, but it's, it still takes a very long time for him to do so, and then you can just kind of perma-stun him up with the Nautilus. So there's a lot of things that need to go right here for No Name, and I think he still has to spend some gold to swap into those Merc treads later on into the game.
Yeah, Lucidity for the earlier on, but you're right. Merc Tread's going to have to come through. And by then as well, you have some tank items as Lazar gets that old shock laser to the face one more time. And now that Baron spawned with a very fed Zeri, with a team that has a Trundle Clement, this is a no-brainer right now. Draw them in.
Yeah, I don't think Sem9 is even going to be here on time. No Name does have a TP, and he spots the members going in. So the play is get the tower and then go in.
The turret. Let's go. That's worth. Who needs a Baron? Honestly, Arashi at this point looking for the steal.
Oh, I see
over the wall.
No!
Oh, that's so close. Props to Arashi who flashes out. Winnie with the dredge line charging up, but he won't do it. And so Baron goes over, and you have to give it to Sem9. Arashi could feel it, and that was the play.
That was a pretty cool play. So No Name doesn't go in. He continues to stack, and the rest of the team tries to snipe Baron.
Oh my god, it's triple TP. It's triple TP though, and No Name's just gonna get taken down over to LZ. Clement, I didn't even realize LZ has TP as well. They all committed to kill Snoop Dogg.
What did Snoop Dogg ever do to you guys? He's such a peaceful dude.
I don't know if you remember the custom skin, you know, ages ago on League of Legends client.
Oh, and it was the one with the boom boxes, right?
Yeah. Well, the boom box is actually in like the Infernal skin, the legendary skin.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, they also had like the boom box, and they had, you know, the cool looking NASA's. It was a custom skin that I'll never forget. The real, like, you know, the Kane video. So, well, we can't reminisce too long because at this point, Sem9 losing Nasus again. Now a Glacial Prison coming through. Turret's getting threatened, and it's through multiple lanes. Clement, this Baron buff. Got about 1 minute 40 left to go, and Impunity are using mid, using bot. Topside wave not in a position, but I'm sure it soon will be.
Still got faith, man. I know it. No Name is going to drop it like it's hot. So,
oh yeah.
Here we go. Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. Well,
right.
It's 10k now. It's almost 11k. There's also an Infernal Soul coming for a team that has this Silas. Let's go.
Man.
Fury of the Sands for Fury of the Sands. They got quite larger as Husky trying to take it himself, but the rest of Sem9 are coming in. Oh, the shock laser again. That just stings. And he doesn't have a name as Winnie flashes over the wall. That dredge line beautiful. The depth charge going to be a 3-man this time. And the poke, the LZ flashing forward. Disgusting. Clement, we need to get you in champ design and fast, as Impunity are just laughing at 23 minutes in the game. Clement, they're going to try and end it. And they're going to try and get the fastest game of the split. We talked about J-Team having it before, but it looks like Impunity ready to set the record as Lazar's up next. LZ's just too strong. Sem9 using their bot lane to defend, but 5 members despite the health bar. Still looks good as Dredge line connects anyway. The pillar as well. And Impunity may have just done it, but No Name. Arashi coming back up and available. It looks like with this Baron wave coming in, they're going to go for it again. Arashi to his death. The answer is yes. LZ gets the kill. 23-33. Clement, I've got to pull up the stats, but with the Nexus going down, I think they're getting there. And, oh, man, they've done it, but Impunity still whopping them where it hurts, Mr. Chu. And, hey, I've actually got a wrong stat for you. J-Team and Dewish Team were 23-47.
Oh, 47.
Impunity have done it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Impunity have indeed done it by 5 seconds.
You fooled me.
I'm sorry. I was like, oh, it must be 37.
Oh boy, yeah. Why did you have to take away even my copium? That was such a disappointment. But what can we say about that game? I felt like the game really just came down to the 4v5 at Herald. That was a massive win. It was a 3-kill snowball from LZ, and that just got the ball rolling where there was no return. So we're going to watch this again. This was not a gentleman's duel. Unfortunately, Husky did feel the need to call on the rest of his squad. Well, to be fair, I think...
But so did No Name.
Yeah, I think No Name was about to do the same. But, hey, he was behind, okay? So I think he deserves to call some of his Ursine friends into the mix.
Sure.
And I think afterwards, we're just going to have to watch this W go through the pillar. That was a really nice combo. That was
oh my god! That's insane. Honestly, That's just so insane. I don't know. The Zeri in that game, and it's satisfying, Clement, but it's also a little bit cringy, right? Like, it hurts watching that champion do well sometimes because you just think, how on Lord, like even level 2. You saw level 2 with the Ezreal Yumi lane. W connects. It's an insane amount of damage. And I don't know, giving Zeri away was the first problem, but also, as you said, Impunity had such a good read, but also just a good lineup of champions ready for the Nasus that they may or may not have expected.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate. I think, you know, the Trundle was such a good answer here. And unfortunately, I feel like the team fight, it was actually very close. But what they really lacked from the side of 7-9 was they needed I think they needed the Volibear to have engaged first. Like in most of the critical team fights, what happened was that No Name was focused down immediately, and he didn't manage to get sustained. Like a huge part of his kit is just the Fury of Sands generating extra AD, and then you feed that into the sustain you have, the cooldown reduction, or the Cane Smack, and that just didn't go down. So they lost the majority of their power in this team fights right off the bat. And next time, if they are able to execute this comp, and I want to see this comp again, if they can just start the fights with Arashi and the ball delivery system first, I think it would have changed things significantly.
Because it's all into that one fight in Herald that just ruined them. Like the game was moving along in a decent manner, and then Herald fight came through, and it came down to Sem9, you know, kind of throwing everything to the wall. Like LZ, easy MVP there, Clement. Herald fight, any other fight, this Zeri did a lot of work.
Does Zeri use like a different gun for the Ultra Shock laser? Because I think that gun should be the MVP.
I think it is. It looks like, you know, one of those, like, not a Nerf gun, but like maybe one of the ones from Toy Story. She definitely pulls out like a pistol, I think. Yeah. The other one is, I think, a two-handed weapon, isn't it? I think it is.
Yeah, it's got the machine gun and then kind of the sidearm going on there. But...
yeah. Well, either way, I mean, dude, LZ, this guy who has no competitive history. There's just people that come out of the blue and surprise us, and I think LZ's been one of those. Like, he's been relatively good, Clement. Even in the first series you and I cast together of Impunity, LZ and Nature were a really good bottom lane. So kind of excited to see where he goes with this, and excited now that Impunity have themselves a bit of a threshold, 2 and 3, and we'll just have to see how long that continues, if they can do it against teams that aren't Sem9.
I'm very interested in what their final roster is going to look like, because so far they have ran, I think, 3 different iterations right now. They have 2 mid laners, and they have 2 supports and 2 AD carries. So I think 3 iterations might be even on the low side. I think it might have ran with 4 rosters coming into this already. But if I had to guess, if I had to just venture some assumptions, I would say that I think the old AHQ combo of Apex and Anex, Anex now, might just be there for moral support and for experience. I feel like the new kids on the block have done their job and look actually quite nice. So I do want to see perhaps them invest into LZ and invest into Husky a little bit more. At the end of the day, these guys are much younger and they will be the future.
Because Husky had a much better game as well. I think it's worth mentioning the Yona game versus this, a very different look. But also, you know, Alex had a great game on this Trundle, but we know the MVP needs to be this guy. Yeah. LZ, 30% damage. What a surprise, Mr. Chu.
Yeah, I think that Zeri is still pretty much 100% first ban at this point. Like, we have seen Zeri lose games, but I would say that she's been incredibly difficult to deal with in all of the games that we've seen. I think the only game Zeri has lost was the PSG game so far. Really, that had nothing to do with Unified much at all. So we will continue to see her, I think, throughout the entirety of this week. And if teams are going to let it through, especially teams like MFT, which do have a track record, they do let the Zeri open a lot when they are on the blue side themselves. They only ban it.
I mean, we've seen like Wukong let through today as well, the same vein, right? Champions that are just so good at the moment, that just have so much going for them. I don't know what more to say. A Zeri game that's great. The fastest game now, the regular season of the PCS. But we've got our last game coming up. Frank Esports versus Beyond Gaming. Mr. Chu, hopefully this one delivers on a very different level right after this.